Hey, sorry about those Dodgers. And- so they have the best record in the. They have the best record in the league? Because they did that like, oh, because they did that like 2-3 years ago, right? Best record. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fat lady hasn't sung yet, but.
No, but she's warming up.
The first inning of both games, they scored more runs than we did the rest of the game.
Yeah.
It's just tough last time we actually had a chance.
Yeah. The first game, it was, what, 6-0 in the second inning?
And, you know, I'm not, there's something, like, look at the Braves right now, look at the Orioles. You have this great record, you're off for a week, while all the other teams are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there's a cool difference.
Yeah.
It's nice, short players like cool, we can say that.
But momentum, yeah. Yeah, because when is it, tomorrow? Day off? Yeah. They got to win 3 in a row. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. Really? Oh, in the front and in the back.
How are you?
Well, you a Dodger fan too? Or you just watch it?
Yeah. I wanted the Angels to do well.
Me too. I'm an Angels. Yeah. It's gonna suck because he's probably gonna. Baseball. Yeah. They in the playoffs? Are they? I haven't watched. I've just watched the National League couple stuff.
Call this meeting to order. Ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. My Boy Scout's gonna lead us.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Roll call.
Councilmember Scott?
Here.
Councilmember Mintz?
Here.
Councilmember Klink has an excused absence. Mayor Pro Tem Bildering?
Here.
Mayor Wright?
Here. All announcements. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 29 Palms website at www.29palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going on our website and clicking on the meeting agendas link. Awards, presentation, appointments, and proclamations, none. City Council comments and reports of meetings attended. Councilmember Scott.
No means.
No, there was none this last 2 weeks.
Same.
I did something, but I don't remember what it was. Okay, consent calendar. Oh, that's what it was. I opened up the Pioneer Day. When Saturday, right? Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Then there was the debate on the base, the ASYMCA.
Oh, yeah, I did that too. Yeah, ASYMCA. We presented some certificates. Okay. Consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council. City Council is in its capacity as successor agency to the former 29 Palms Redevelopment Agency and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the City Council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on consent calendar items prior to the City Council action. Does anybody want to pull a consent calendar item? Public comment on it? Bring it back.
I'll move the consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Buildering,
Aye.
Mayor Wright.
Aye.
Approved 401.
Public hearing, none. Discussion, potential action items, none. Future council-initiated items. Somebody got it? Public comment. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on issues within the jurisdiction of the City Council that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the City Council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill out name and address slips and get them to the city clerk. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. Alice Lawson.
Good evening. I'm here today to talk again about trying to get some crosswalks, and I met a gentleman last week who was hit by a car on his way going to Oasis Elementary School, crossing El Paseo. It was a hit and run, and he has 2 little boys. I met when he had his little boys with him when I met him. There's other people have been hit on that street in speeding. It was introduced to a man putting the sidewalks in, and they told me that the city bus was in his way, and the guy went around it about 70 miles an hour and didn't stop at the stop sign there on Hillside in El Paseo. I talked to the road commissioners people today, and they said, we need to put those blinking lights down closer to the school, not on El Paseo and Bagley, whatever it's called over there. It is to save these kids. We need the crosswalks crossing my street, crossing El Paseo. We need stop signs there, not 2 going the opposite direction. People drive down those 2 streets like they're nuts. You know, I've seen cars go down the street just like a streak of lightning, and there's nothing you can do about it. We can't have speed bumps, can we? Like at the park. Could we have speed bumps like that?
Through engineering, you can add them.
Can?
But there is a liability for, you can. Ultimately, you can't
Well,
with the traffic study.
If somebody was to get hurt or doing that's their problem because they're going too fast. We're there to protect the people, not worry about what the person in the car is going to get. You know, because I always think about the little girl that when I told you before that I almost ran over. And she asked me where the crosswalk was. There's no crosswalks there, and the crosswalks are wore out. When my grandkids were going to school there, I asked for crosswalks, and they had an excuse for that. We're trying to save lives, not end them.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Steve Spear.
Good evening, Steve Spear, 29 Palms. You have each been provided a package of documents. Those documents present a history of my filed complaints to city code enforcement about various properties in my neighborhood. Also, these documents are city-owned documents and not generated by myself. You will see that out of the 11 complaints over a period of 28 months, only 1 complaint has been answered, meaning the complaints have been closed, but no correspondence, telephone call, or even a reference to the alleged resolution by the city is addressed to me as the complainant. In fact, one of the serious complaints, and the only one that has a city response, is about an illegal open fire pit. And it was not addressed until I took code enforcement to task for their failure to even know the fire code in the state of California and the county of San Bernardino. Code enforcement tried to require me to contact county fire to resolve that issue. When I balked, code enforcement contacted county fire themselves, and they were told by county fire that county fire does not do illegal fire pit inspections, even though code enforcement wanted me to do it and contact them on my own. Even that complaint, even though resolved, had no answer to me as the complainant. But code enforcement went at great length to politely inform the violator of the city's pleasure at the resolution of the matter. Presently, there are 2 complaints that show a status of open. Both of these complaints were filed on the city website on August 13th. That is 8 weeks ago. Do any of you actually think not informing citizens of the resolution of their complaints and also having an issue fester for 8 weeks is appropriate conduct for our city? As to why you move public comment to the end of a meeting as opposed to the traditional start is known only to you. I can tell you that me and others in this city believe it was a deliberate move to stifle public input and comment when you have extraordinarily long meetings. That point becomes painfully clear as the mayor read today, and I will quote, "Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda," end quote. Really?
That's your time, sir.
Well, may I ask for about 30 seconds more, sir?
No, sir,
Why not?
because we don't give anybody 30 seconds, 3 minutes. Thank you.
Well, I'll just point out there was an email sent to my representative, Mr. Bill Durain, and that's almost 2 weeks ago, and
Thank
there's
you,
no
sir.
answer.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Susan Peplau.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. I'm going to read today because I started to prepare a little message and decided I would just pop in myself. My attendance is an appreciation of Mr. Lucchino's time with the city, also in recognition of the challenge ahead with your search for a new city manager. I appreciate the effort by the entire city council and the leadership of our community. The loss of Mr. Lucchino will be difficult as he has set the bar for progress, staff leadership, and professionalism. I plead with the City Council to not make hasty decisions. Allow the seasoned staff to shine under your direction while the search for a qualified replacement. I hope you will follow the lead and patience of Desert Hot Springs, set expectations for the best, and do not settle for less. Thank you.
Pamela LaFosse.
I'm Pamela LaFosse. I'm here to speak about the Adobe Circle peacocks. I was here for a public hearing on August 29th where it was decided that the birds would be removed. And I never got a chance to actually respond to the accusations that came from the complainants. And in fact, I have lots of evidence showing that the complainants were not telling the truth. And nobody's willing to listen to me. I've tried to offer it. I've sent 4 letters. I've said, please, will somebody look at this? I don't think I should have to appeal it because I think somebody should have listened to me before a decision was made. And if that wasn't bad enough, we have 11 neighbors with an Adobe Circle address who never received a letter from the city. Nothing about the birds. They had no idea. I went door to door, knocked on every door, and showed them your letters and the envelopes they came in. Nobody saw any of this at all. To say that they feel disenfranchised, is an understatement. And I believe that those birds were taken away. They were trapped and removed, contrary to the wishes of many of our neighbors, and in accordance with untruthful statements. And so the neighbors feel that those birds were taken away under false pretenses, and they're being held under false pretense. They want them back. There's 17 neighbors right now who are saying, look, this isn't right. This shouldn't have happened this way. Those birds shouldn't have been taken without everybody being notified about it and being able to weigh in on it. It's very upsetting to a lot of people. Those birds have been there for the better part of a century. There was never a complaint about them ever once in 85 some odd years, until just recently when a neighbor put forth a complaint. And unfortunately, I have all kinds of information showing that what he said right here in this room and what they said in their letters was not true. Not true at all. I'm in a unique position of being able to prove a negative. But I can't get anybody to listen to me, and I've tried. So I don't know where to go from here. But I can tell you that it's really upsetting to the 11 neighbors who weren't consulted about this. Say they don't have a lot of faith in the system is a pretty accurate statement. So I'm hoping somebody will get back to me, because my calls aren't being answered from animal control. My letters aren't being responded to. And I think that I should be heard because, like I said, I wasn't given an opportunity on that day. It was like machine gun fire and having to go into a courtroom and defending yourself against something you didn't know. I didn't know what the charges were. The city did. In order to find out what was in all the letters and stuff, I had to do a release of information and wait to get that information. I walked in here having no clue what was waiting for me, the lies and the problems that people were putting forth that were not accurate. So I feel that I was put at a distinct disadvantage, and I don't believe the birds should be gone any longer.
Thank you,
I think
ma'am.
they should be
That's
returned.
3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thomas Elkins.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I figure since we have a shorter meeting, I would take the time to get up here and ask or encourage you to take a look at some of the future council-initiated items that have been sitting on the agenda for longer than I've been attending these meetings, which has been a good several months by now. Things like mostly the Youth Advisory Committee on the agenda would be something that I feel would be good for the city. There are multiple groups for children: the Boys and Girls Club, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the American Heritage Girls, and more, that would benefit from some sort of council with the city to learn how we could do more in the way of service for the community. So I think it would be really cool if you guys could kind of take a look at them and maybe talk about them in meetings in the future. That's all.
Thank you. Benjamin Alley.
Giving myself a minute here. I have a multifaceted thing to discuss with you guys, but I want to make it as simplified and as meaningful as I can. You guys know the intersection? I mean, you know, it's at Bagley Avenue in Sunnyvale. You guys all drive around it. So you know people speed down that street, and it's just kind of crazy, but it is what it is. You know, there's that. I could literally throw a rock from the roof and hit it over there. But my wife and I, we moved out here about 5-6 months ago. And we've really enjoyed the area. It's been really nice. We haven't had tons of issues. The only issues that we really have are domestic issues with violence and drug sales at that intersection. A lot of it's kind of trickled down from the apartment complexes and a lot of the systemic issues that are there. And I'm sure you guys have heard about this previously, and other people have discussed it in different merits. My primary concern, though, is a lot of the kids. And I don't really like going into these environments and imploring you in these dynamics, because I know that you guys are very structured and you want to base all your policy and all of the things that you're trying to achieve off of that. But unfortunately for me, we hit a precipice point after calling the authorities nearly a dozen times for late night altercations in our street with young people. My wife woke up at about 3:30 a.m. Day before yesterday, and needed to work at 6 in the morning, and there were kids fighting in the street, like there are almost every night at that intersection. And I feel so bad for them because they don't have a lot to look forward to. Their lives are pretty pathetic up there. I mean, a lot of kids don't go to school. A lot of them are on drugs. We helped a young girl out not even a few months ago. She was 16 years old, homeless. She's living in a sleeping bag in a field that's about 1.5 blocks from here. Helped her with some money, tried to give them some advice, tried to get her out of town, to go out of town, stay with her grandma. Well, at any rate, she woke up at 3:50, and uncharacteristic of my very passive wife, decided to shout to the children and say, "You guys need to go home. Go home." Never left the property, was in the front yard. All 3 of them confronted her, walked up to the house, and assaulted her. 2 girls and a young man had beat her up pretty bad, knocked her out unconscious. She was laying on the concrete. The one young man, 16 years old, I can see my own kids in this, man, it upsets the hell out of me. I don't want to be too angry. Kicked her in the face when I walked out of my front door. Her kids. I'm sorry. I know I have I only 3 minutes, and I'm just really upset. It's hard to. If you could please just make sure I have enough time to say this. It's really important. But she was unconscious when I found her, and we called the ambulance and we called the police. For 15 minutes, I sat there with my wife, where the police took 25 minutes to get to my house, and the kids for 10, 15 minutes are laughing, walking down the street.
Sir, I have sympathy for you.
I'm
and
so sorry, but we haven't even heard of detective. Hasn't even come from us in San Bernardino County because they're so overwhelmed.
Yeah, so
and this neighborhood is lost.
You could
It
talk
needs
to
help.
the city manager right after.
I
and
appreciate
we could talk
that.
to the
I'm
cap-
sorry I'm being so emotional because it's a hard dynamic to
it's-
speak about
well,
this in clear terms.
your time
but
is up.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. My time is not finished, though.
Vino.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I want to thank our city manager for serving our city. And my family and I wish you the best of lucks in whichever city you go to. Secondly, Mayor, I've been observing that Alice has been coming here, to my knowledge, almost 3 years complaining about the same corner of a street. And I don't know whether her voice is going on deaf ears or nobody's listening, or she comes to stand at this venting podium and just vent. Can somebody please help out? She comes to me all the time saying, I said, I'm not on the diocese. I hear you telling the diocese, but next time I will stand up and say, you know what, can somebody please pay attention to what she's saying? She's been coming here 3 long years, I think, to my knowledge. And lastly, we built a pool for just over $6 million. And we these hoteliers are constantly having problems with kids coming from all the way from downtown, jumping our pool fence and using our pool. We go ahead and confront the kids. They say, you know what? I asked them, why don't you go and use the city pool? It's meant for you. They go, they used to charge $1, now they're charging $4.50. Why are you all charging them so much? They're giving us a hassle. And then when the time my wife and I are not there, some of these kids, they're big in size and my staff is small. They become very confrontational. So can we at least open the pool up for the people who live in the city? Thank you.
All right, no more green slips. City manager update.
So no updates, Mr. Mayor, but if I may, because the next item is adjournment, just read a prepared staff report, if you will, on adjournment. Mayor, staff recommends adjourning this meeting to Monday, October 16th at 5 o'clock for a closed session, and the regular meeting would start at 6. As you know, we have a special meeting set for tomorrow, during which the council will hold a closed session to consider appointment of an interim city manager. At this point, no one knows if the council will be in a position to appoint an interim city manager by that time, but it is my hope that you will be able to do so, as I will be leaving October 26th. It would be helpful to have someone on board in advance so that I could work with them to facilitate a smooth transition. With that in mind, we are proposing that we adjourn this meeting to October 16th which will make that meeting a regular adjourned meeting. This is important because a contract for an interim CM cannot be entered into in a special meeting, and it is my suggestion that the council not wait until the next regular meeting, which is October 24th, to address this issue.
Anybody got any questions? Adjourn this meeting to Monday, 16 October.